Hi, good morning. Good morning, my name is PJ Moloney. I'm co-founder of P4ML, and I'm very tight getting up here from Cork this morning. So hopefully this presentation will give you a feel for where precision medicine is going. So what does P4 stand for? So we're looking to use universal control and harmonisation of a variety of laboratory equipment to deliver personalised medicine. Currently what we see in current drug discovery and delivery is a company like Pfizer or Novartis. They run a clinical trial and they find a drug candidate to try to treat a disease for quite a spectrum of people, but one size does not fit all. That's the approach that personalised medicine uses. So we're combining metabolomics and understanding the drug pathways in tandem with genetics in our business model. So our commitment as a business, and what we really want to talk about today is our data-driven health intelligence. And that's one of our taglines within the business and one of the platforms we wish to launch. So look, we're looking to collaborate with the governments, with healthcare providers, and with international laboratory equipment suppliers. As I said, we'll develop technologies to support change in healthcare infrastructure, where personalised medicine data is to the foundation to prevent and to diagnose disease. We're looking to bring in innovative technologies, and you'll see this throughout the presentation, that are designed to lower healthcare costs whilst always putting the patient first and foremost. So basically, personalised medicine is, we're looking at the individual. One size fits all approach does not work in current medicine. And how we're going to do this in our company is we've got unique capabilities where we'll look at population stratification with the use of biobanks, translational research, and that's something I'll speak further in the slide deck, where we use techniques such as next generation sequencing, mass spectrometry, and we'll speak about our pilot contract manufacturing organisation. And again, we're looking at target therapeutics, specifically orphan drugs for rare diseases. That's one of the key things the business is working on. So if we look at the traditional versus precision medicine approach, you'll see a paradigm shift in how medicine is being delivered to the individual. So as I said, the traditional drug development approach, it was a rigid process when we were looking to understand the disease and the pathway of the person. It relied on tools to turn existing data that was had to be mined in the past, and it was capital intensive. To design a new drug in industry takes 10 to 15 years. Now looking at new discovery, a new drug process, and personalised medicine, we look at the phenotype and we start to look at a cohort of the population. We're looking at improved outcomes and decreasing the cost trajectory, and that's a key thing in personalised medicine, where we reduce the time span of delivering a new orphan drug. And it requires a robust and diverse set of human sample, high quality data, leading technologies and top talent. And that's a key thing that we have in Ireland. We have top talent in this country. So this is one of the slides that I spent quite some time working on. We're seeing that sequencing costs, and what sequencing is we take a specimen from the human, be it blood, urine, hair, feces, whatever specimen, and we can break down the human genome. The amount of data that we're putting in the cloud is enormous, really, because, as I said, the second slide here, that DNA data is the second largest user of the cloud after Netflix. That's huge data. Back in 2001, Craig Venture from Human Longevity first sequenced the human genome. I was very fortunate last year to be with Human Longevity and meet Craig Venture and Brad Perkins. It was probably the highlight of my career as a scientist, and to discuss how the human genome was sequenced. But as we see over the last couple of years, the costs have gone down and down and down, so we can now sequence the human genome for close to €500. But in the same time, we're starting to see that the data that we're putting in the cloud is rising. Now, one of the key things that P4ML are looking to do is to have our cloud tied into our CRM package, and we're very lucky to have a good relationship with Salesforce. They're going to be a key element to our business to help us to keep all that data in the cloud and understand algorithms. Again, this is a really good slide deck, and I borrowed this from Human Longevity. Currently, we have medical records that are 3.5 gigabytes in size, but now there's a paradigm shift in healthcare because we've got MRI scans, we've got mass spec scans. You can see all the different data that we can now put up in the cloud. So a human now is generating about 150 gigabytes of data. So that's why we're seeing such an increase in the number of data that's put up in the cloud. And I think we're doing it unknown to ourselves as people, because I'm trying to lose some weight. I got myself an Apple iWatch, and I'm starting to put all this data up in the cloud. I'm looking at my heart rate, my mileage that I'm doing, but we're doing it from DNA kits like 23andMe, like Nike, and all this data we're putting up into the cloud unknown to ourselves. So there's lots of data there that we can get access to, okay? And the really good thing about this, everyone's connected to the cloud, is that traditional drug development, if you were looking to recruit a cohort of the population, we're just using 30 as an example. You might be very lucky to enroll 3 into that clinical trial. However, if we look at mobile recruitment, people using apps, we can now have 30,000 people download an app, and we all automatically enroll 3,000 people. So this is where precision medicine is going, that people are happy to give data and enroll in a new era of technology. Here's a really good stat. There's 550 million globally autonomized patient records out there. That's a lot of data out there for people to mine into. So what our team is going to do down in Cork, we have an analytics team, and look, the plan is that we'd have a centre of excellence, that we'd use advanced analytics and leading in technology to support us better decisions. So from countries, from the healthcare systems, from the physicians and from the patient, we're getting lots and lots of data. So we'll be specialised in genomics, lab biomarkers, and so on and so forth. And again, I keep going back to leveraging the power of data streams. As I said, health monitoring and diagnostics is coming in the forms of wearables, genomics, metabolomics, which I'll speak about a little bit further, clinical data, your medical records, and from your clinicians. What we're launching as a company is DDHI, which is data-driven health intelligence. It's some algorithms that we've built internally. And what we should be able to start to see is that we can target novel therapeutics, we can look at specific biomarkers, and in tandem we can offer a drug-drug combination to give better efficiency rates for people with a rare disorder or disease. And that's what DDHI will stand for. As I said, we're going to develop and generate novel discoveries and impactful predictions. So we're going to identify features through literature mining. We're going to select relevant trials that our clinicians or our pharmaceutical companies may want to come to P4ML to look at. We'll use our clinical data and our molecular data that we'll generate from the laboratory, and we'll start to look at extraction, some engineering, and again, we look at the best data mining and algorithms in the cloud that's coming off all these analytics and instruments. Now, this is something really bespoke and unique to our business model in Ireland, and probably globally, because last year I spent a lot of time in the US visiting various different laboratories. I've been very fortunate in my career with Airchrome and with Agilent to have been in all the big multinational factories like Pfizer, Lilly, Novartis, and the hospitals. And nobody has adopted this approach just yet. So what the company's going to do, we've got 3 phases. It'll be phased in over the next 12 months. We start off with our next generation sequencing. So we've strategically located ourselves beside DHL in Cork to give us the fastest logistics chain. We've got a strong relationship with Salesforce that allows us to mine the data, keep an eye on records, look at our sales channel, train distributors. But when we're bringing in all our DNA data, the next phase is to look at a multi-omics approach. And this is really, really important for understanding disease and metabolism and how a drug interacts with DNA mutations. But what makes us really, really bespoke, and I believe a company that can scale, is that we're implementing a pilot CMO down in Cork. My other business, Airchrome, we represent a very strong biopharma company, and BMS was one of our big success stories. So we were the main contractor in the Bristol Myers Squibb site, and they implemented from the Emerson Delta V a program called Smart Factory, which basically puts all the equipment onto the one platform. However, what DDHI will do will actually bring in genetics and multi-omics. Never been tried in the world before, and we'll use this through OPC servers. So we'll have all the equipment communicating on one single platform or historian. The amount of time, paperwork, errors will be reduced dramatically on this platform, and it will also allow us to look at a cohort of the population. We'll say, if we look at Crohn's disease, that we can take a biobank, we can drill down to that, we can drill all the DNA data here from the genetics. Through the multi-omics, we can start to understand which drugs are going to target a cohort of that population, and we could potentially look at making therapeutics, a cell line for a pharmaceutical company, for an Alexion, for a Biomarin, for Lilly. So this is a very bespoke solution that our company is going to deliver to Ireland and further afield. And again, I'm going to keep going back to metabolomics because that's my comfort zone. I'm a chromatography and mass spec chemist. I'm not a geneticist, so this is my comfort zone. So what metabolomics allows us to do is, as I said, we can look at DNA mutations and we can start to understand which drug has a better interaction or the drug metabolomic pathway. And the key thing about metabolomics is that we're looking at a variety of things in the human ecosystem. As I said, we can start to look at nutrition, we can look at pharmaceuticals. Again, cancer is a big area, so we're going to be bringing in a liquid biopsy test. And again, metabolomics is across a broad spectrum, not just human, but also animal as well. So this pipeline of products will see the company scale and grow and really mine specific data. Now, that's all well and good saying, PJ, great presentation, really interesting about precision medicine, but is it being brought to the real life? Is it being practiced globally? And this is a real case study by an Irish professor, Stephen Kingsmore, who broke the Guinness Book of World Records twice for the fastest diagnostics in a neonate. Now, we're back over with the Cork Chamber to visit the Rady Child's Institute in mid-April, and we're hoping to work with Stephen to bring this technology into our facility to service the EMEA market. So again, this is a real case study of what precision medicine can do. And as I said, it's a paradigm shift in where medication is going. So let me just give you the case study. And this is, if you want to YouTube this video, it's available, and it's a 15-minute presentation. So basically, a family had a baby boy. He was sent home after 3 days, healthy, well, in good condition. At day 8, he was admitted to an emergency ward where he had severe seizures. So it looked like very bad epileptic fits. Now, the clinicians have to look at this case saying there's probably 8,000 underlying diseases with 1,000 treatments that we can offer, or 1,000 different drugs that we can offer to this child. So they put him on a course of medication. His blood specimen was sent to the laboratory for next generation sequencing, and this is the sequencing that was done by Professor Stephen Kingsmore's team in San Diego. Within 19.5 hours, less than a day, and a Guinness Book of World Records, they were able to diagnose the child with the exact disorder and disease he had. But in that 19 hours, the child got worse and worse. The seizures were getting really, really poor, and his parents were advised that the child might not live. He was put on a severe anti-epileptic drug and was put into an induced coma and ventilated. So this is what the team, through genetics and multi-omics, were able to achieve over in San Diego. First of all, that's a huge number, 125 billion, 100 million DNA sequences. That's codes. So that's the breakdown of the child's DNA. And so on and so forth. So traditional next generation sequencing, we can start to break down this number and start looking at different drugs and pathways that might be able to cure and help the child. However, working with Illumina and a company called Edico Genomics, using artificial intelligence and using the cloud, they were able to, in the next, I think it was a 7-minute turnaround for these additional algorithms, they were able to prognose the child with a specific disease and cure the baby with the exact drug it needed for that genetic disease. Again, Illumina, DNA Nexus, Alexion are involved in this. So I think on a real case scenario, we can see what precision medicine can do, where the Ratty Child's Institute saved a life. And if you look at genetics and how it's growing, it's an industry, as I said, we have a very strong genomics medicine in Ireland. P4ML are very focused on the neonate space. But what we bring is a little bit, a flavour that's totally different. We're not just a genetics company. The whole multi-omics, we can start to understand the drug pathways. And as I said, if we can start to diagnose critically ill children, we can now tell them exactly the drug which will have the highest efficiency rate. So that's what our business is doing. We're very young. We set the business up in October of last year, although this thought is in our head for the last 3 years. My business partner is Dermot Cahalan. Dermot is speaking in the health zone in the next 20 minutes on precision health. And as I said, we've brought in a very strong chair of the board. I'm delighted to announce Pat McGrath, former CEO of the PM Group, has kindly come in to chair our board. So Pat has scaled the company from 5 staff to 3,500 people, nearly 750 million turnover in 40 different countries. So to get that expertise to come in behind us, the support we're getting from Enterprise Ireland, the support we're getting from UL, again, the IRDG is a really important group that we're members of, so we've done some design thinking. But in essence, that's what P4ML stands for. We're a precision medicine business. We hope to scale. We want to deliver the best healthcare to the Irish population and further afield. We should be aware of Brexit as a positive thing for Ireland. There will be restrictions sending clinical data outside the EU. It won't be stopped, but there will be restrictions. We're benefiting that by bringing in the non-invasive prenatal test. It's one of our first assays, but we have a pipeline of about 15 more products coming through. So as a young company, we're on airplanes, we're meeting investors, we're investor ready. And we just want to thank everybody for the time and support they've given us to give this presentation today, and hopefully to see that we're making a dramatic impact in Irish healthcare. Thank you.